I'm sorry for the long delay since the last video, but it feels like a lot of long waits have come to an end all at once in the last week. Actually went back to work after a 10-week period of furlough. I've resumed working from home, which has felt like a strange sort of relief. Quite good to be back and have that kind of structure in my day. But the other relief was driving the race car for the first time in 8 months. She'd been sitting since we got back from Silverstone in October at the end of last year. With various bits of work being done, most of which I've talked through in the past, centering around the diff being rebuilt with a different ratio and much improved longevity. New steering rack, quick ratio steering rack, stiffer springs all around, and a lot of other detail changes that have made it feel much refreshed and also handling a lot better. After a quick trip to the garage to get the geometry sorted out, I took the car for a little run down the B roads. There's only so much you can find out on the road. It wouldn't be appropriate to get anywhere near the limits of that kind of car, but what I can feel at sane road speeds is fantastic, really encouraging. That my daily is a Boxster and handles really nicely and steers beautifully. To get into a 23-year-old saloon car and be really enthused about how great it felt, how good the handling was. It just felt really satisfying. So that was certainly exciting when I drove the car a few days ago. The biggest weight of all, the one that we've all been hanging on for, is for the return of motorsport. The first race weekends in the country were held this weekend just gone. We had the first meetings on the 4th and 5th of July. And from what I can see, while spectators weren't allowed, what I can see is that we have really good grids. All of the Cubs running meetings seem to get really strong entries, which is massively encouraging for those of us planning to be out later in the year. For me, the first outing comes on Monday, where I'll be testing at Donington Park on a track day on Monday 13th July, primarily driving James Lewis Barnard's Mazda 7. This car, for those of you who don't know it, is based on the Caterham Type low-cost chassis from Ron Champion's Build Your Own Sports Car book, and powered by a late 90s Mazda MX-5 engine, possibly early 2000s actually, late NB, someone will be able to correct me on that. The result is a car that weighs just under 500 kilos, just over 500 kilos, has 140 horsepower and very straightforward and simple handling. A really, really great fun thing to drive. I have driven it before in the wet in February, in the middle of Storm Dennis, which was an experience, something to behold. We'll put a little link there if you want to take a look at that on board. But this we're hoping will be a bit of dry setup work. So the majority of the day will be spent in the Mazda 7, which I'm really, really looking forward to. James is going to drive the car as well, get a little bit of seat time in his own racing car for a change. And for the last hour or so, we're going to run the E36 for a little bit of shakedown and to prove everything out. We then go straight on to race the Mazda 7 at Snetterton with 750 Motor Club on the 19th of July. That's a Sunday, the Sunday following our test next week. And that I'm really excited for. That format is 15-minute qualifying and then 2 15-minute races, sprint races in a really tight one-make grid, something I've never done before, and I'm really excited to try out. We follow on immediately to Thruxton the weekend after, on the 24th of July, the Friday, testing at Thruxton, and the 25th racing with Classic Sports Car Club and Alex Baldwin, a name some of you might recognise. This will be Alex's third ever race entry. He was due to race the E36 with me at Brands Hatch last year, but we had the first ever retirement of that car from a race while I was driving the first half of the race, so Alex didn't get his shot. He's since raced a Saxo, I believe, a hatchback of some description, I'm sure, at Brands. But now will be finally making his debut in the E36 at the fastest circuit in the country, which I'm really looking forward to trying. I drove Thruxton, 2016, so 4 years ago I last drove Thruxton. The car is transformed and so is my driving, so I'm really looking forward to seeing how that behaves, and also to finally getting Alex his big shot. Get a weekend off after that, and then we go to Alton Park to test on the 7th and race on the 8th of August with MSVR and Rob Dowsett. Rob will be making his debut in the car. Rob, you may remember as well. He shot an interview with me at Brands Hatch at the again last year, the same meeting Alex was supposed to drive in. I think we have a link here to Rob's channel. Yes, and yes, I've been very keen to get it to transition from racing in Club 100 to trying out circuit racing in cars. and has chosen mine to do it with. So we have a full day's testing for Rob on the Friday at Alton, and then we'll race in MSVR's Track Day Trophy on the Saturday. The list goes on, frankly. 2 weeks after that, Ian Thornton's racing in 750 Road Sports with me at Silverstone. 2 weeks after that, 3 weeks after that, nice long break, we're at Anglesey, and finally something I've always wanted to do is happening. In 750 Road Sports and the Mazda 7 series respectively, we're racing my car and James Lewis Barnett's car on the same day. We're sharing the Road Sports race, and I'm doing both of the Mazda 7 races, so that'll mean 5 sessions for me in one Saturday on a windy bit of Wales. I'm really looking forward to that. I can't wait to see what it's like trying to get between different cars and wrap my head around different grids and different competition in such a short time frame. We are cheating a little bit, we're testing on the Friday, but I think I've never been to Anglesey before. It looks like a beautiful circuit, but also a challenging one. So I think my learning curve is going to be really steep all through that weekend. That's on the 12th of September that we're racing there. And then another 3-week gap until Mallory Park on the 4th of October in the Mazda 7, again with the 750 one make series, and that Mallory is a very sweet circuit. I've driven it a few times over the years, but never raced there, so that'll be an interesting one to try, and I think it'll suit that car quite well. 2 weeks after that, we're at Snetterton again on the longer 300 layout this time, racing the E36, and in that we're testing on the Friday with both of my other drivers. On the Saturday 17th October, Neil Savage and I will share the car in Road Sports. I'm really looking forward to trying Neil out in the car, because I shared a 2CV with him in the 24-hour race in 2018, and he flew in that car. He's a serious driver, he doesn't mess about, and I'm quite interested to see what he can do behind the wheel of someone else's toy for a change. And then on the Sunday, we're racing in Club Enduro, the first entry in Club Enduro for this year, unless someone comes to me and asks to do another earlier. Miles Cook, who normally races a BMW E30 in the production BMW Championship, will be making his debut in the E36 and also trying out endurance racing for the first time, as we do a 2-hour race complete with fuel stop and much strategy to deal with the many different cars around us. That, in 12 races at 7 different meetings in just 3 months, is my race season as it stands at the moment. I've been excited, I can't wait to get out there. I can't believe that we've lost so much of the year already and yet managing to pack so much in, so I have to give an enormous amount of credit to the clubs who've been organising this, who've been fighting calendars and circuit bookings and each other, I'm sure, behind the scenes to get these bookings put together. To be able to get so much out of such a disrupted year is just brilliant. So until Monday, when we try the Mazda 7 in anger and also run the E36 in a much improved state, I'll let you know how we get on.